colours. They're very bright. And Bear is my favourite character because she makes people calm and she makes Rabbit make sense of the world.
So I think the book is about finding peace and being at peace with the world, knowing that you can't always fix the problems of the world, but you can learn to deal with them and see them in a more positive light to help be happier.
I didn't like it. I loved it.
Have you ever in your long-legged wife seen a long-legged sailor with a long-legged wife?
I like the book because it teaches you loads of good rhymes, and rhymes are really good for your brains.
The book wouldn't be so good if it didn't have any pictures in it.
There is music in a tomcat if you tread upon its tail.
My favorite poem was the Beans one because it's disgusting and I like disgusting things.
I like this book because it's about how people are in sizes and different shapes, and I think that everyone's people and what matter what sizes and shapes they are.
I like the book because it's very colourful. I think it was all about the world and how good the world can be.
I would say to my friends that this is an interesting book and you should read it to your brother or sister and your family.
Even though it looks like a book for younger readers, I think anyone can still relate to it as well. Yeah. The one message I got from reading this book was that you're never alone. It's about this boy and his mum makes this chocolate cake, and then every day at school she gives him a slice of chocolate cake. And then one night he decides to eat all the chocolate cake, and then he doesn't get a chocolate cake on his lunch. It's just really good in general.
Yeah, they made it interesting with the poetry and the images. Yeah, I thought they were really colourful and comforting.
I kind of like this one, of him sneaking down the stairs.
Because he's really sneaky, like a fox.
Yeah. So this book's about a boy and his name's Ivo. It's all about his journey trying to get to Europe with his brother. It's basically about refugees. I think it kind of makes you think about their lives and how hard it is for them compared to us.
I think this book would be really useful in the classroom because it would get kids excited to read a graphic novel. It'd teach them a lesson on what they'd take for granted.
Well, the shadowing scheme is really kind of a program that really helps students across the country really get in touch with the CBI Book Awards. And so when the shortlist is released, the students in all the schools are able to read the books on the shortlist and give their own feedback and vote on which one they think should win the Children's Choice Award.
The shadowing helps to broaden my horizons in what I read, because I wouldn't normally look twice at certain types of books, but now I get to read lots more and I'm more interested in a much wider range of books now.
Yeah, I definitely think that sometimes Irish authors can get a little shafted by maybe English authors or American authors, so I think it's amazing that there's a specific award that really highlights the excellence in Irish authors and Irish books.
We get together every Thursday to have our book club. It's quite nice because we get to talk about books we like and we can sometimes relate to the characters. It's just a general nice time. I always look forward to it. So it's about a boy named Galeb and his family who live in Kobani in Syria, and they have to escape from Syria because of increased amount of terror attacks. So they travel across the Syrian desert and through Turkey in a bid to get to Europe and to safety.
There's a lot of violence and death and tragedy in this book, and the author really didn't shy away from any of the tragedies that they have to face.
It makes you think about what we have, what we take for granted. Our problems are so small compared to theirs, so it just makes you appreciate what you have.
Yeah, I think it was really excellent. I really learnt a lot.
This book is written in blank verse. I used to think that poetry wasn't the best kind of style of writing, but now I really like poetry and I feel like it's a good way to express your feelings.
It was kind of a bit bittersweet, but it was really sad.
It kind of makes you feel think about what value do you place in life and what can you forgive, and I think it's very emotional.
I would say this is a heartbreaking book about death, life and forgiveness.
I didn't really want to leave the book down.
So Tangled and Brown is a kind of more macabre, kind of almost feminist retelling of classic fairy tales. It just shows how like women are much stronger in these fairy tales. They're not just all princesses. They're working really hard to get like higher up in society.
I was shocked after I read the first one because it took me a while to kind of grasp the concept of them.
It's actually really good.
I think the illustrations, to be honest, are the way they tied in with the story, where they were just completely excellent.
Because it's black and white, I think it kind of shows how, I think these are set a long time ago, so it shows more where they're set.
Like, they just pulled you in all the more. I think they were pen drawings, but the detail in them was just astonishing. Like, they were incredible.
So I really love this book as well because I love like books about like the women's right to vote and wars and like being it over. Even though the war's over, it's not truly over because the people who are really should be the victors are not coming back ever.
I feel like we saw a lot of character development through Sandy.
He was a young soldier who fought in the First World War, and he's very quiet and secluded as a result of the things he saw. It's like he's a very serious case of post-traumatic stress disorder, and so it's quite eye-opening to see how people deal with this and can suffer from it.
The Space Between is a beautiful love story between Beth and Alice, and in the beginning, Beth is very lonely, she's depressed, she hasn't left her house, and then Alice comes along with her dog, and it's really beautiful. They really get to know each other, and Alice kind of helps her through her unhappy period in her life, and by the end she isn't perfect, but they still, they love each other for all the flaws that they have.
Yeah, I fell in love with it when I read the first page.
I definitely think it's a useful book to start conversations about mental health issues, particularly how support from our loved ones can help us through difficult times. And being the young judge was one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life. I'm so honoured and grateful to CBI for allowing me to be part of the judging process, and every single day I got to go home and read was amazing. Over the course of the process, we read over 100 books in total. I definitely enjoyed reading almost every single one of the books. Some of them I didn't like, it has to be said. And there were some that they were children's books, so I had to enjoy them from kind of a different perspective than I usually enjoy books. And it was actually difficult for me in the beginning to judge the illustrations in the children's books because it wasn't something I was used to reading. But by the end, I'd like to say I'd gotten pretty adept at it. My voice was heard just as much as the other judges, I think. I really felt like everything I had to say was taken just as equally as everyone else's opinions. I think becoming a young judge for CBI is an aspiration that any young person who likes to read should have.